The Freemuslim Non-Violence Organization has voiced deep concern over the continued targeting and suppression of journalists in Tunisia. The organization has strongly criticized the Tunisian authorities' actions and condemning the recent arrest of a journalist on January the 3rd, 2024. This move is viewed as an attempt to stifle free speech and silence dissenting voices, prompting calls for the upholding and preservation of freedom of expression laws. In a statement received by Shia Waves Agency, Freemuslim highlighted the global pattern of press oppression and gave repercussions in entails. The oppression of journalists and the suppression of truth tellers has become all too common occurrence across various regions of the world, the organization expressed. Not confining to its concerns to Tunisia alone, Freemuslim drew attention to similar incidents in different global contexts. It cited examples such as the suppression of journalists covering conflicts between nations like Russia and Ukraine, media censorship in China, reporting constraints during the Palestine-Israel conflict, and instances of persecution faced by journalists in India. The organization stressed the fundamental need for the safety and protection of journalists, irrespective of the nature of their reporting, of their religious and ethnic backgrounds. Journalists must be shielded from political persecution to ensure their stories reach the public domain, Freemuslim emphasized. Freemuslim underscored that these practices flagrantly violate constitutional articles that guarantee public rights, journalistic freedoms, and the right to peaceful expression of opposition. It issued a stern warning against the perils of sliding into tyranny and dictatorship. The organization urged the Tunisian authorities to respect freedom of the press, emphasizing the vital role journalists play in upholding democratic values and informing the public. It called for immediate measures to safeguard journalists' rights and prevent further erosion of press freedom in the country. Live with us, we have the director of the Freemuslim Organization, Mojtaba Akh-wand. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for having me.
Alhamdulillah, all good. Amidst threatened and heightened journalist arrests in Tunisia and various global regions, what motivates do you believe underlie these nations' efforts to suppress voices despite condemnation from human rights organizations?
Well, I believe in general, it's two aspects. One is there is an agenda that these countries have. They have spent money to get to that agenda. And if journalists come and showcase the truth, they are disturbing the agendas that these countries have. And in addition to that, it's like a tsunami effect. If it's a small wave and journalists start to tell these stories more often, then this tsunami happens where the small wave becomes a large wave, and it changes the momentum in the country. The opposition has a voice to speak, and journalists have always given a free pass, but the free pass comes with so much expense: the expense of security, expense of safety, fear of being targeted in these countries. So unfortunately, countries want to silence the journalists who are telling the truth, and the truth that changes the momentum in the country, regardless of the cause. Some
Carry on.
people believe that these countries should stop prosecuting journalists, and some people feel that these countries have the right to do so. But in reality, journalists should have the freedom of telling the truth without being penalized for their job.
Considering the distressing circumstances faced by journalists, is there sufficient concerted action being taken by humanitarian organizations and groups to effectively confront and rectify these grave violations?
Unfortunately, no. And I'm very sad to say, not only on the humanitarian level, there's not enough work to be done as far as the NGOs go on the ground or outside the country, paying attention to the news that's happening. Also, the journalists from other entities and other networks, they are not backing each other up. They're not staying united. When something happens against, for example, XYZ network or XYZ broadcaster, uh, others may not pay so much attention to it. But we have seen in the past where when a journalist was killed or disappeared by a country, when people united, journalists and civilians, they united into sharing the story repeatedly. That particular country changed the way that they were suppressing the news and oppressing the news agencies in general. So I believe that it needs to be a united effort between NGOs, also civilians, anyone who is interested in the truth, and reassuring that people are exposed to the real happening on the ground, circumstances, the real news. Uh, Also, what we noticed was China used this method where they made fake news at the beginning of when they were oppressing the Uyghur minority. They created and hired journalists who would mention the news the way China wanted to control the narrative. And by doing that, there was a diversion of people's attention to what is the truth, what is fake news. So it is important that people double fact check anything they hear. They go online and search and try to find the truth. And if they want to share something, do a background check on what is happening and not just click the share and think that, wow, I'm going to be the first to share this news and I'll be famous for doing so. People are an element of change in every society. Journalists are not aliens or people from other countries or other planets. Journalists are people who pay attention to the news of a country because they're dedicated and passionate about that country. And it is their job to showcase the truth. As civilians, as people who read the news, we also have the responsibility to make sure we pass on the news that someone has risked their life to obtain, as opposed to someone who's hired by a country just to say whatever the country wants and again control the narrative.
Indeed, indeed. That was live from Washington, D.C., the director of Free Muslim Organization, Mojtaba Akh-wand. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.